speak about Congo on social media, sometimes like from the US, then you get these comments of like, Belgians speaking about Congo, you know, and I think it's a fair comment.
Yeah.
It's a fair comment because, you know, and I always say, I mean, I've very strongly oppose 90%, let's say, of the Belgian political establishment that always says what Congo should do. Like, you will never hear me say, the Congolese government should do this or should do that. That's not. What I say is that I'm a politician in Europe, and I want to make sure that my government or my institutions do no harm. Stop harming. Like, I will oppose war. I will oppose the plunder of Congo. I will oppose the supporting of whatever human rights abuses by our authorities, right? And I think it's whoever one needs to rule Congo is a decision of the Congolese people. Whoever all of this is that we should not meddle. We've got like no legitimacy, no, like it's an absolute violation even of the UN Charter, whatever. So we should not be involved in any way in how those countries are run. So yeah.
Hey, the following is an interview with my friend Marc Botenga. He's a sitting member of the European Parliament and generally just a super cool dude. If you enjoy the content from this interview, you'll probably really enjoy the main video that we made over on my main channel, where we discuss the implications of the new Cold War that's unfolding between the United States and China, specifically within the Congo. So go check it out over on my main channel. And without further ado, enjoy my friend Marc Botenga. What is like the common sentiment in Belgium around what is currently unfolding in the Congo?
But first of all, many, perhaps most, don't really know.
Yeah.
Because there's this lack of attention from media, from like, it's incredible. No one, like most people don't even speak about it, which is unimaginable. Like you could not have a similar thing going on in Europe or in the United States or whatever. And not so many people are not even aware of what's going on. Like if you would tell people there's been millions of people killed over the last decades, they're like, what, really? And you can't blame them because there's the information is just like, so that's one part. The other part is that obviously it's very well hidden how we have a hand in it. Like you have to look of it, like it's very easy for media to say, well, you know, this country is killing people in that country, or this rebel group is doing that, and the government's also, and whatever. You know, it's very easy to have this thing, and then you think, well, this is very far. Like, why should I care? Like, it's somewhere. Where is it on the map? You know, it's not my business. So that's the second thing. So our challenge really is to say, no, guys, wait. There's horrible things happening there, and they're happening there because of our governments, because of what the European Union or European countries are doing. So that really is a challenge to us.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it seems like there's this like wave of right-wing sentiment that is oftentimes, I mean, like antithetical to any sort of like liberation movement or any. It's very not sympathetic towards a lot of these massive violent conflicts that have largely been like oftentimes engineered by the West or just as a consequence of Western interference. How were you able to like break through some of those like far right waves and actually find success in like Belgian politics and Europe more broadly?
Well, I think you need to know what people like in Europe are really fed up with a number of traditional policies. They've been voting for the same parties over and over, and you've got these promises before the elections, and then politicians do exactly the opposite afterwards. Like, or I don't know, in Belgium we've had this thing of like no one before the election said that they were gonna increase the retirement age, like they would have to work longer before getting actually some kind of benefits. And yet after the election, they do it. And then people feel cheated, and rightly so. They're like, why do I go to vote, right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna look, they're angry, and they're gonna look for ways out. And then you've got the far right saying, well, you know, if your pension's too low, if you can't find healthcare, housing, education, well, it's because we've got too many immigrants, right? Nonsense, obviously. I mean, it's because there's a small group of billionaires that are stealing the money. You know, they're billionaires, right? A billionaire doesn't work like 1 billion times more than a worker or than a, you know, that's not true. So they're getting money from basically the wealth that we're producing. I mean, that workers are producing. So what we need to do then is to say, listen, they are defending when we want to tax the rich, they say no. So basically, they speak about migrants or LGBTQI people. They want to make us hate each other rather than unite and get our money back.
Yeah.
That is what, and so that is really important to be very, very concrete, like to say, hey, we can have affordable housing. It's not normal that there's waiting lists in healthcare, that in schools there's no teachers, or that you're like cramped together in small classrooms. That is not normal. In wealthy countries, we have the means. Where's the money gone, right? To say this and to say, listen, these are very concrete, very. That's a way of fighting like far right. It's basically demagogy, because they say we care about the people, but in reality, these billionaires, they're there to fill their own pockets.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Do you find like that resonated with people, like that messaging resonated with people both on whatever the equivalent of like the far left and the far right is in Belgium?
I think so. I mean, I think it's something that to us we really look at the working classes, because in the end they're the people that make the country run. Like, I don't know how it was in the US, but I'm sure it was very similar during COVID, like the virus and stuff. Like these people, it was really shown who was like running the country, and this were the people that were collecting the garbage. This were the people that were cleaning, that were doing the hospitals and stuff.
Yeah.
These are the people that make your country run, right? They create the wealth, they create your country, they build it. And so, that is, how would I say, that is the people that we want to see in power. These people should also technically run the country, right? So that is our message. We try to organize them. We're not telling them that we're going to solve it for you. Like it's not like vote for us and we'll solve all your problems. That's not going to work.
Yeah.
You need to have these movements, this power. It basically, it's power to the people. It's let's say the real meaning of democracy, right? It's an old Greek word apparently meaning power of the people. So to bring that in, to say, listen, these working classes that create the economic wealth of our country, they should also, first of all, have a decent living. Like, it's not normal that they can't find a house for their children, whatever. And secondly, have a say. Like in Parliament, I don't know, how is it in U.S. Congress? How many workers are there in U.S. Congress?
Not many.
That's the issue. Like, we want to bring them into Parliament, and we want to have like these movements outside that actually say, listen, guys, outside there's millions of people that want you to take this. Stop listening to the billionaires. Start listening to the people.
I think we probably have, when you asked that, I started thinking of names in the U.S. Congress. We probably have a dozen, maybe, out of 535 or however many it is. Like, not very many. And those have effectively almost zero power in the U.S., which is pretty wild. So, but also, real quick, if I'm not mistaken, you were the first member of the Workers' Party of Belgium to get elected. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. To European Parliament, yes.
That's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. It's,
I don't have anything else to say. I just think that's cool.
It is. It was pretty cool. I mean, big responsibility as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really the nice thing about it was that we're gonna, obviously we're involved in Belgian politics. We got people in the Belgian Parliament or whatever. But like, we wanna as a collective also take this battle to Europe.
Yeah.
And then work together with comrades from Germany, France, whatever. Because obviously some things you need to do on a European level. You can't do it all in your own little country.
Yeah. Can you tell me more about the Workers' Party?
Sure. We're a party, like we are now about, let's say, 10% in the Belgian political landscape, let's say, we represent. And basically, we've got this view that society should run for and by the working classes. That it's not normal that we've got now a society that produces so much wealth, like much more than ever before.
Yeah.
And yet that most working people, or many working people, don't make it to the end of the month. That they need either a second job or that they, this is, and so we want to basically change really the fundamentals of society. But in order to do that, you need to mobilize, you need to organize, and this way you actually, you get a sense of power yourself. To change society, and you're like, okay, we're gonna do this together. To mobilize to, I don't know, we want higher wages, by mobilizing. I know that's been like in the US as well, massive, like trade unions mobilizing on we've been very impressed, by the way, by the movement in the car industry that's been that was going. I was like, we were looking at that from Europe, like saying, wow, they're doing like, because it made sense. It's like, you know, we're building these cars, you know, we deserve to be paid. And so with the Workers' Party, basically, that's what we're trying to do, to say, okay, listen, we need a society that puts people first, not profit. And that's not a slogan. It's not a slogan, because today, like also at European level, like you get a text like of a law, whatever bill, and like money is always going to be first. They call it competitiveness. They've got all of these very expensive words. But in the end, we're saying, no, listen, it shouldn't. That should be a means to the objective of making people live better.
Yeah.
You know, and put the economy at the service of the people, rather than the people at the service of, well, they call it the economy, but then we know that that's a few people that get very wealthy from it.
Yeah. It's like saying the stock market. It's like, okay, it's like 10 people. I mean, my other suggestion when Marie and I were talking about this was like, what if we played like a game of GeoGuessr or something? But I think that'd also be kind of just goofy. And frankly, I suck at GeoGuessr, so it's not even like...
Aren't you a pro? You're lying.
Well, you see in all my videos I mess up, so I'm the worst pro there is.
Anything you think of?
Well, there's Palestine, obviously. It's
Good, Palestine. You've done Palestine as well, huh?
yeah, a little bit, and then, well, the topic we're most active on right now is the militarization of society in general, but it's a big topic, and it would maybe require,
I think I have a good question.
Uh-huh.
But sorry, I cut you off.
Go ahead.
In the United States, I think it was just a couple weeks ago, there's this app that's been launched called Protector. And it is effectively Uber with guns. And it is licensed off-duty, either police or military, that come and pick you up and serve as your bodyguards for however long you rent them, in an app as simple and it's a very beautiful app, as simple as Uber. Now, this has been receiving a lot of hype around the the online world, especially in leftist circles. And if you don't mind, I can show you a very brief video of like what they do, because it's pretty jarring. They just pick you up, and it's these dudes. It's literally off-duty police that pick you up in suits and guns. And actually, it was in the wake of the United Healthcare CEO assassination.
By Mangione.
Allegedly by Luigi Mangione. They founded this app and probably raised some venture capital.
Okay.
But I would love to get your thoughts on it, just as... Oh yeah, please come.
Yeah.
This is, if you want to be in the shot, please get in the shot. I feel like it's just interesting getting people's opinions, especially, folks who aren't from the United States, and are so used to just guns being everywhere. But, so here's the actual main Protector page. They just have interviews with all of their off-duty cops. But what's more interesting is the actual content people are producing from it, where it's almost like a new level of I guess celebrity sort of influencer posting, where they hang out with their security guards, who all of these guys have concealed weapons. All of them have concealed pistols. These are all HR 268 or something like that. They have a special certification so they can have guns anywhere in the United States, including New York City, even though it bans guns.
Never heard of this.
Here's people shopping with their bodyguards. This group of people was sponsored by the actual app to use these bodyguards. And in, I think, a week or so, let's say March 4th, actually maybe even this week, they're launching, the same people who produced this app are launching another app where you and your rich neighbors can crowdfund a security detail, so a little squad of off-duty police officers, to then circle around your neighborhood in the case that there are protests or something like that. And so you literally have armed guards circling your neighborhood. And this is another video I want to make, so I might not include this in this video, or maybe I will, I don't know. But I think it's a very interesting privatization of like the monopoly on violence.
You know what it makes me think of? The thing of the firefighters in California.
Yeah.
Well, you had I don't know what his name was, but like this billionaire that said, any private firefighter,
Yeah.
everyone took the piss out of him, but in the end it was real.
Yeah.
Like there were these people. That's like the complete privatization of everything.
Yes.
Makes me think sometimes of Elysium.
Of Elysium?
You've seen the film or not?
No, I haven't.
Elysium is like it's one of like the most, well, not inspiring actually, it's frightful, but films on the future.
Really?
Because it's basically the poor toiling the earth, and then the rich, they built this space station where they've got like the best. It's this absolutely dystopian, but interesting. And so they try to how would I say, they're completely exploited here on Earth, and so they all want to make it to the space station just outside, because there you can get free healthcare, you can think, but it's only for the billionaires, it's like, and so you got these groups trying to fly into the thing, so kind of the migrant thing, trying to cross the Mediterranean and stuff. So it's very well done. It's a very class conscious film actually. Elysium.
That's crazy. Yeah, and the guy, I can't remember his name. The guy who you were referencing ran for mayor. Oh yeah, Rick Caruso.
Yes.
He ran for mayor and he barely lost. He's just this billionaire dude in LA, and he spent millions of his own dollars, because here in the beautiful United States you can kind of just buy your way into elections. Yeah, it's really cool. It's a great system. There's actually no problems, and he damn near won too, even though he was just like this rich asshole who was like, if I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure right before he announced his candidacy, he switched from a Republican to a Democrat. I could be wrong about that, but he's definitely had some really crazy scandals throughout his life. But he's just this billionaire property developer. And if I'm not mistaken, he was paying his firefighters something like $3,000 a day, like thousands of US dollars every single day. Whereas the regular firefighters were being paid, I think it was like, maybe a couple of grand a month, and most of them, there's a lot of them who are like incarcerated. I don't know if this is something that's like commonly known outside of the US, but we use a lot of incarcerated firefighters to like fight our wildfires, and because they're prisoners, they don't qualify for minimum wage. In our 13th Amendment, which was Abraham Lincoln's amendment to free slaves, there's a cutout, or a carve out, I should say, for incarcerated people. So if you're in prison, you don't have to be paid minimum wage. These guys oftentimes get paid a couple of bucks a day, tops, which it's a great program for them. They really enjoy doing it. They like getting out and reintegrating into society, which is great in and of itself, but their compensation is horrible, and they are effectively still treated like slaves. And this is completely off topic at this point, but there's a prison.
It's very interesting.
There's a prison in Louisiana. It's called Angola, and I'm going there next month because it is named Angola because it was a slave plantation where it was primarily slaves who were brought over from Angola, and now it was converted into a prison, and it has extremely jarring images with white guards riding around on horses with a bunch of black and brown folks who are thrown into prison for life because they have oftentimes non-violent offenses. But at the end of April every month, and I believe every weekend in October, they host a rodeo, and I'm going to be going to this, where they get the prisoners to sit around in a rodeo ring and play poker. And the last one to leave the table gets $100, while a bull runs around them and just gores them, beats the shit out of them, tramples them, all while you can see the stands are packed with people who are predominantly white. You can see, this is just filled with, white locals who go and see these bulls literally just run over these people who were thrown into prison. So I'm going to go into that next month, and I'm probably going to make a video about that. But it just feels like the most insane, jarring, horrible imagery you can possibly imagine. So the United States has a very complicated relationship with its prison population. And I think the example of firefighters is a very interesting one.
Yes. All right. That definitely deserves a video.
I'm sorry, there's a bit of a spiel, but I just think it's so crazy that
it is, absolutely.
You know, we have this like form of modern day slavery in a way. But anyway, unless there's anything else you want to discuss, let's
do and then
wrap up.
Yeah.
Sound good. Okay, enough before we get you in trouble.
Sorry, but yeah.